Hey everyone, it's Miss Gubroot back with more conversations around fractions. Today we're thinking about switching improper fractions to mixed numbers and mixed numbers to improper fractions. So let's take a look at our essential question. You can pause, please, and write this into your notebook before you continue. Here it is. How do fractions that are more than one, fractions that show more than one, how do they look in models? That's like when we're modeling it out, using things to show fractions. And pictures, that's when we're drawing. How do fractions that are more than one look in models and pictures? And how can we switch them back and forth? Please pause and write this down and then come join me again. All right, I'm going to tip my screen down again here so you can see my working space. Now, you can see I have put out some models to show us some fractions. Now, you might be saying, well, Ms. Gubroot, I don't have these, and that's okay. I know with coronavirus, we're having a little bit of trouble figuring out exactly how this is going to work, but stay with me. We'll figure it out together. So here's a bunch of fractions, and you can see this represents the whole thing. Now, a model is something we use to represent it. It doesn't even have to necessarily look like it. It's just something that it reminds us of what we're trying to learn. So this is the whole thing. You can see that's the whole thing. And you can see that this one matches it exactly, but it's cut into two pieces. So of course, those are halves. This is 1/2. That's 1/2. Now you can see over here, these orange ones, that matches it exactly as well. Remember, they've all got to be the same size to talk about them. But those are thirds because it takes 3 of them to make the whole thing. So that's how this is going to work. So let's take a look at our first problem, and we're going to model it out. So here's our first problem. First of all, you need the worksheet that's either your teacher has given you or that's attached to Google Classroom called Improper to Mixed and vice versa. So improper fractions to mixed numbers and vice versa. You're looking for that sheet. So please either have that out on your table spot, ready to write on, or have a tab open in Google Classroom ready to use Cami. We're looking at number 3, 2, and 5/6. So I'm going to start by modeling what 2 and 5/6 looks like. Well, the big number, that's the whole number. That tells us we have 2 wholes. So again, I'm going to tip this down here. So that means here's 1, but I need to get another one. So I take another one there. Now I have 2 wholes, and I won't be so crowded in just a second. So there's 2 wholes. The next part, though, is 5/6. Which color of these can you see shows sixths? Pause and think about that a moment and then come back. Well, I hope you said, oh, look at this. It's the blue ones, or whatever color that is, teal, I guess. It's the teal ones. The orange can't be sixths. There's only 3 of them that make up 1 whole. So those are thirds. It can't be the orange. It can't be the pink. Only 2 of those made up the whole thing. Those are halves. Can't be that. What about yellow? Can't be yellow. 4 yellows make up the whole thing. Those are fourths. Even green, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those 5, they make up the whole thing. Those are fifths. So it has to be, look at this, it's got to be these teal colors because 6 make up the whole thing. So now we have 1 whole, 2 whole, and there are the 6th, but how many do we need? We need to remind ourselves we're looking for 6 because there it says it in the denominator of the fraction part that's associated to the mixed number, sixths, and we need, the top number tells us 5 of them. So here we go. We need 5 out of 6 pieces. Oh, my lights turned off and got a little blurry. There we go. So we need 5 out of the 6 pieces. So here we have 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 6 pieces. We've modeled 2 and 5/6. On your paper, right on the paper with number 3, please draw what we just modeled. So I'm going to draw it over here, and I'd like you to draw it on your paper. So it doesn't matter what shape it is. Remember, the shape just kind of helps us understand we're talking about two whole things and 5/6 of another thing. So in this particular case, it makes sense to draw squares because we're modeling them with squares, but you don't have to. So remember, all our whole things have to be the same size. So there's one whole. Now my next one has to be the same size. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect because we're not perfect drawers, but try to make it look really close. There's two holes. And then I need to draw an additional hole. Again, that's the same size, but this one, I'm going to cut into 6 pieces. That's this, 5 out of 6. And I'm going to choose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's how we modeled 2 and 5/6. Now, here's our question. Remember, how can we use models and drawings to change from a mixed number that has a whole number of fractions stuck together into an improper fraction where there's only a fraction? And improper, remember, means the number on top is bigger. How can we change this up? Well, let's go back to our thing here. What we need to do is I need to swap out these 2 holes for the same fractional part as here. So I need to get rid of this hole. I'm going to go into my box here. I'm going to get rid of the halves, get rid of the thirds, get rid of it's kind of hard to get these out of here, get rid of the fourths, get rid of the fifths, and I'm going to swap out this one hole for 6/6, because if a number is the same top and bottom, it shows you that it's a whole thing. 6/6 is the same size as the whole. So there, now I have 6/6. Am I done? Nope, I still have this one I need to break up. So I need to get a different bin and do the exact same thing. All right, here's my next bin. So again, I'm going to take these 3 and these 3. I'm going to replace the whole thing with something that's already cut into 6ths. So now we still see this is still makes up a whole. 6/6, that makes up a whole. 6/6, that makes up a whole. And 5 more 6ths. So now the question is, how many 6ths are in 2 and 5/6? And we know the answer because we can see the 6th. We see it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 6 so far. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. We can see that if we divide the entire mixed number into the fraction that it talks about, 6ths, we have 17/6. So we're going to write that. That's actually the answer. We're going to write that here, here. 17/6. That's the answer, 17/6. Now let's see how that would look on our picture. What are we going to do to our picture to make it 17/6? We already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But we need to take our picture. I don't think you can see that red. Let me take a different color. Maybe you can see black better. We're going to need to divide these just like we did in our modeling. We're going to divide these whole ones into 6, divide this whole one into 6, and we can count it just like we did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Our answer, how do we change 2 and 5/6 into an improper fraction? Our answer is 17/6. Let's try another one. All right, let's look at number 4. Number 4 is 1 1/4. Go ahead and sketch a picture of what 1 1/4 is. I'm going to build it here with my blocks that I have, these fraction pieces, and then we'll see if we agree. So pause, you sketch a picture, I'm going to build it, and we'll see if it looks the same. All right, here's what I have, a whole 1 and 1/4. Now you may have drawn 1/4 not the way I did, where there's 4 pieces like this, and you drew one of them. You may have drawn it a different way, but if you drew a whole one and 1 out of 4 pieces, like this, you have a hole and the same size hole, but with 1 out of 4 pieces, like this, like that, you're in good shape. So I'm going to pause and draw it too. There's what my drawing looks like. A whole one and another whole shape drawn the same size, but this time we're only taking 1 out of 4 pieces. How did we know to cut it into 4? That's what the denominator tells us. Now, we're good. We've drawn it. Now we need to know, what if it was all fourths? How many fourths would it be if everything was fourths? Well, we're going to look and say we only have 1, but what do we need to do to this whole one? We need to cut that up into fourths. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take these fourths and replace my whole thing. Look at that. I've cut that hole up into fourths. Now remember, I only had 1/4 before. So there, I've cut it all up into fourths. Fourths make up the whole, and fourths make up just the part. How many fourths do that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So our improper fraction is 5/4. Notice the improper fraction, that top number is bigger than the bottom number. That's why we know it's more than 1. How do we show that on our picture? Same way we did before. We divide our whole number into the same fractional part that we see in the mixed number, fourths. So we divide it into 4. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5/4. Let's see if we can do it the opposite way. Let's start with an improper fraction and change it to a mixed number. All right, on the same paper, please take a look at number 13, 7/3. We know that's an improper fraction because 7 is a bigger number than thirds. So it tells us it's more than 1. We're trying to figure out, okay, how many, what would the number be if it was a mixed number? How many wholes and how many fractional parts? 7/3. So let's go ahead and build it. If you think you can draw it first without seeing me build it, go ahead and draw that right on your paper. Then come back and see if we agree. If not, just stay with me. All right, we're going to start with the pieces that are thirds. There's our whole thing. Remember, thirds, we need 3 of them to make the whole thing. So we're going to start with the pieces of thirds. Now, we don't know how many wholes. We just know that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We know it tells us we have 7 pieces that are the size of thirds. There they are. There are those 7 pieces, 7/3. But we also know because they're thirds, it takes 3 of them to make the whole thing. So 3/3, like this, we could replace with 1 whole. Now let's take another 3 because we know they're thirds, so it takes 3 to put together. So another 3, and it makes another whole. Another 3, nope, we don't have another 3. The only thing we have left is this one. So look at that. We've modeled the mixed number. What's the model? 1, 2 wholes, and 1 piece left. What are we going to name that? How are we going to write it? We're going to write 2 wholes, and this 1 piece left was 1 piece out of 3 pieces it took to make the whole. So that's 2 wholes and 1/3 left. How can we sketch that? 7/3. We can sketch it by, we know it's going to be more than a whole thing. So we start with 1 and it's a third. So we do 1, 2, and we choose all of them. 1, 2, 3. We're not done yet. We make another whole. I'm going to keep counting. We're still going to divide that whole into thirds. Every whole has to be divided into thirds because it tells us that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Still not done. We draw another whole and cut it into thirds. 7. Now we're done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 thirds. And then we look and say, we've drawn it out. We've drawn 7 thirds. What is that in terms of a mixed number? 1 whole, 2 wholes, and 1 piece additional. So 2 wholes and 1 out of 3, 2 wholes and 1/3. Good luck. Your skills sheet is coming up. Your assignment for your skill sheet is to choose 3 more mixed numbers to change to improper and 3 more improper fractions to change to mixed numbers. Good luck. See you next time.